Hello everyone and welcome to the next session of Core Java. In this session, we are going to discuss about arrays. So let's first understand what is an array. So as a definition, array is nothing but a data structure which stores a fixed sized sequential collection of elements of same type. In Java, array is a reference data type. We have seen two data types, primitive and non-primitive. So array is categorized under non-primitive or reference data types. Now, why do we need an array? Let's take an example. For a class, I want to store marks of students. Now, what will be the type of mark? Let's consider int. So, one int variable can hold one value, that means marks of one student. Like this, if I want to declare a single variable every time, I will have to create those many variables, means one variable for value. So if the strength of the class is 60, I will have to create 60 variables. If the strength is 50, I will have to create 50 variables and so on. So first of all, I will have to create those many variables. Secondly, whenever I want to initialize the variable or whenever I want to access that variable, in that case, it will be really complex way to perform that operation. So what if I combine all these elements, all these variables together under one umbrella, where I will create one entity and that one entity is able to store multiple values. However, I need to remember that whenever I say that I want to create an entity which is able to hold multiple elements, those elements must be of same type. So this is achieved by creating an array. So array is used to store collection of data, group of elements. However, it is often useful to store multiple variables of same data. So this is nothing but an array. So one entity which is capable of storing multiple elements. So initialization, access, or iterating over that particular data structures becomes really easy. How to declare an array? So we are going to specify data type and name of the array. Data type and name of the variable. This is how we generally declare any variable. When I say data type and variable name, I am specifying that this variable can hold one value at a time. So if I want to make it an array so that it can store multiple values, then we need to make use of square bracket. So this is the syntax of declaring an array. This is just the declaration of array. We haven't yet created the array. We haven't yet assigned the values to array elements. So data type, square bracket, and then name of the array. Another way is data type, array name, and square bracket. However, the first way of declaring array, which is mentioned as preferred way, because this is specification of Java. This is how arrays are specified in Java programming language. And the second way, which works for Java but not a preferred way, because data type, array name, and square bracket, this way of declaring an array is inherited from C and C++. So this is how we are able to declare an array. So let's now see how can we declare an array through application. So let's now see how can we create array. Just to revise, when I declare a variable in this way, I am specifying that it is going to hold one value. When I am specifying a variable, say int, which is data type, square bracket, numbers. So addition of this square bracket tells that this numbers variable is not going to hold one value. However, it is going to hold multiple values. So this is just a declaration. We have not yet initialized array. We have not yet initialized the array elements. After declaration, the next step is initialize an array, right? Now, what is initialization of an array? Initialization of array means memory is allocated for the array. Right now, whatever variable we have specified, we have just created one variable which can refer to the location where array is being stored into the memory. We haven't yet initialized that particular array. So, for initialization, there are two ways. One way is new array name equal to new data type, and into square bracket we are going to specify array size. What is going to happen in this way is, depending on array size is nothing but number of elements which will be stored in that particular array. So number of elements multiplied by bytes required for that particular data type to store the value, that much memory will be allocated for this array. So this is how initialization of the array will be done. Another way is specifying the values. However, in the first approach, we have just created the array and we have not initialized each array element. Here in second approach, I am creating an array. I am also specifying the values in curly brackets. So it takes care of specifying number of elements to be stored in that particular array, which is specified in comma separation over here inside curly bracket. Those many number of elements and what values, that is also specified in this second approach. So we are going to have a look at both these approaches through code. So let's see the first approach. So here numbers equal to new is the keyword which is used. Int is the data type, and then what will be the size of the array. So when I mention size, this is number of elements. Remember that this is length of the array, and index always starts with 0, and first index is always 0 and last index is always length minus 1. So how I will initialize these array elements rather, is numbers of 0. This is the first element equal to, for example, then numbers of 1 equal to 20. So whatever values you want to be stored. Now array is sequential data structure. So memory will be allocated in sequential manner. Should be 2, not 3. The index always starts with 0 and last index is length minus 1. So length is 5. That is how many elements we can store, maximum number of elements, that is specified over here. So numbers of 0 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the index, and last index is always length minus 1. So length specifies that how many elements you can store. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 means 5 elements are stored. Now how can we iterate over this particular array? So we can make use of for loop I equal to 0. Why 0? Because it starts from 0. It is representing the index now. I less than numbers dot length. Now this length is the property of array. This is predefined property of the array. Remember that this is not a method. We don't have round bracket after that. This is a property, and I plus plus. And I'm simply printing so numbers of I. So whenever I'm executing this particular code, you can see that all these values are being printed in the console. So this is how we are initialize the array. So memory is allocated at this particular point. Okay. Now if I am initializing or I'm not initializing these variables, and if I will execute this particular code, then you will be able to see that all these variables are having initial value as 0. So at this point, the memory is allocated, consecutive memory locations are allocated for the numbers array. Each of this element being int type of array, each of this element is also int, and the default value of int is always 0. So all these elements will have values as 0. Then I'm able to initialize it. Then whatever initialization is there, those values will be displayed. So now the output will be different based on what values we have initialized. This is one way. Another way, so I'm accessing index every time. Initialization can be done in specific way. So for loop can be used for initialization as well. Numbers of I. So for loop for initialization equal to. So what I'm going to do over here, int num equal to 10, say for example, and num plus I. So this 10 plus this counter. So it will be added. And I will use another for loop. Now how I have got this for and then control space. So Eclipse always auto completes system.out.println numbers of I. So again I'm executing this code, and now the values are 10 to 14. This is also another way of initializing this array. One more way, you are accepting some value from the user and putting it into the array. This is one more. Another way where I'm declaring an array and also initializing it at the time of declaration. So now let's consider another type of array. So float array equal to, I can make use of curly bracket, and whatever values I want to store, which will be of type float, we can specify by using comma separation. Now, if I will try to add boolean, so I'm getting compilation over here. It says type mismatch cannot convert from boolean to float. So array can accept only one type of data. And then we can make use of for loop to iterate over it. So for so now it will display float array as well. Yes. So this is how it is specifying the values for float array. Let's now see how array is stored in the memory. So the reference will be available on stack and it will refer to the location on the heap. So these are the consecutive memory locations available and each of this is going to hold this particular value. So this is the actual value and these are the indexes provided for accessing every variable in the array. So this is all about what is an array. In next session, we will continue to discuss more about the arrays.